It's Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance, joined today by Henry Nickel. He is a councilman in the city of San Bernardino. It's been a long 5 years, but the bankruptcy is over. The city has come out of bankruptcy. Talk to us about that process. What does it mean for your city?
Well, it's been a very interesting 5 years, to say the least. Obviously, we had a major change politically in terms of our city leadership.
Right. And I would just mention that there had been a lot of dissension within the mayor's office vis-a-vis the city attorney, at some level the city council, and that caused a lot of angst. Then the bankruptcy happened, and new mayor, lots of new city council members.
Correct. And we've gone through, we've had some very significant changes that occurred in the city. We did annex into the county. Our fire service now is provided by the county. We are looking at ongoing revenues. That will be an ongoing challenge for us as we clear through bankruptcy.
But if I remember it, the city passed a sales tax, is that right?
Yes, we did. We did pass a sales tax.
Dedicated?
Yes. That comes due in 2020. And so we are now evaluating continuation of that tax, perhaps a modification of that tax.
Where does the money go?
Currently, the money goes to police, law enforcement.
Was it a 2/3 vote, or was it a 50% plus one?
It was a 50% plus one.
So it's a general.
Tax.
So,
yes.
So there's some latitude.
Yes, and I think what we're looking at now is perhaps more or less a complete modification of that in terms of a potential increase. We're also looking at the agreements that we currently have in place regarding our property tax, whether or not that may need to be revisited. So all options are on the table now in terms of revenue moving forward. But the bottom line is the city has to grow its tax base. We still have a very anemic tax base. So the redevelopment of our downtown is going to be key to our strategy moving forward.
Let's talk about economic development, because San Bernardino has struggled. I mean, the Carousel Mall is kind of it's a metaphor for what's going on. It had been a thriving mall in the past, and now it's, I hope I can say this, it's a bit of a ghost town. And so it's in the downtown area. What are the efforts, what efforts are being made to bring back Carousel and otherwise?
Yeah, we have a very high vacancy rate downtown, particularly in our commercial sector. We will be moving forward with redevelopment of the Carousel Mall property, which will include a demolition of that mall.
Really?
That will occur probably, hopefully within the next 12 to 18 months. We will be redeveloping what we call our Theater Square property and rolling over the revenues that come from the sale, eventual sale of that property into the demolition of the mall and the redevelopment of the mall. But the bottom line is we need to attract, in my mind, we need to attract a new demographic into our downtown, a younger, professional, educated demographic. One of the detriments that we've suffered over the last few years is the significant reduction in property value in the city. But that is also an advantage now, because we are probably one of the best buys in Southern California. We will have Metrolink service in our downtown core starting very soon. Testing is underway right now by the Metrolink operations. And so we will have connectivity to both Orange County, LA County. You'll be within about an hour's transit of both of those major employment centers. And so we're looking to attract some of those younger professionals that perhaps can't afford a condo or a place to live in downtown LA or Orange County. But San Bernardino is really positioned in terms of our geography, in terms of our transportation, as a place that's a good option for these young professionals as they get their careers started. So
the Carousel Mall area, the theater district's huge.
It is huge.
So what are you going to do with all that land?
The plan is what we call mixed use. So we will have a combination of retail. Kaufman and Broad is interested in developing the first phase of essentially loft-style apartments, similar to what you see in downtown LA, near Union Station or downtown Orange. We really need to attract that new demographic into our city and bring life back to our downtown. After 5 o'clock, our downtown is pretty much a ghost town, as you said. But having that 24/7 life downtown with a new younger demographic, professional demographic, I think will begin to bring life and attract the type of development that we're going to need moving forward and put San Bernardino back on the map and make our city great again.
One of the challenges that San Bernardino continues to face is crime. The crime rate has been going up, not just in San Bernardino, but generally, almost counter-cyclical. We saw the crime rate drop during the recession. You'd think it would be going up during the recession, but it's now going up during the recovery. And San Bernardino is struggling a bit with it, aside from the horrors of December 2nd. But talk to us about the crime rate.
Yeah, well, obviously there is some degree of a nexus between our rate of poverty and our rate of crime. So the idea is, as we begin to attract a newer demographic, higher incomes into the city, that will be addressed, and the crime rate will be addressed. But in the interim, obviously, we need to ensure that we create a safe environment for our downtown, for the residents and businesses that we want to attract to our downtown. So we've instituted a new program called Ceasefire, which is based on a community policing model that's used elsewhere in the country. I just got back from Omaha not long ago and spoke to their police chief about some of the successes they've had. They instituted a similar program about 10 years ago.
Right, you're part of a national organization,
Yes.
Neighbors USA, is it called?
Neighborhoods USA, yeah. My colleague, John Valdivia, who's also on the council, and I were in Omaha last month and really came away with, I think, a good understanding of what other communities throughout the country are doing. This is actually the third year I've gone to this conference. Last year I was in Memphis, saw very similar things. I was in Washington, D.C. Earlier this year. The Shaw neighborhood of Washington, D.C., which for years had very significant challenges in terms of crime and poverty, has now bounced back completely. You can't afford to live there anymore. It's too expensive. So we're looking at strategies now coming out of bankruptcy. Now that we are moving beyond bankruptcy, we can really focus now on the redevelopment, the economic development of our downtown.
But let's talk about the police, though, because the police, one of the smallest of silver linings coming out of December 2nd, extremely well liked, extremely well respected. The view was that the police really saved lives and made a situation that was horrific much less. And so can you parlay that sense of goodwill and good feeling?
Well, I don't want to be too boastful, but I think our police department in San Bernardino is probably second to none in Southern California.
Look, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
They deal day in and day out with some of the most severe circumstances that probably any city faces in Southern California. And what we found is that our police officers, especially those that have weathered the storm of bankruptcy, are really just very, very committed indivials.
They do seem that way. I mean, Jared Bourguin, your police chief, is a tremendous leader.
Tremendous leader.
Would say.
And my hat's off to our law enforcement in our city. They put in a tremendous amount of effort every day to keep our residents safe. It is a challenge, and obviously we have a role to play as council members to begin stimulating an environment that attracts the kind of investment and redevelopment that begins to address some of those underlying conditions that contribute to the crime.
Sure.
crime
Okay.
rate.
His name is Henry Nickel. He is a councilman in the city of San Bernardino. My name is Brad Pomerance. We're coming to you from the Inland Empire. We're glad you're joining us on Local Edition.